Good morning, everyone, and salutations to all of you. Happy Monday. So, let us begin with the heart focused breathing technique for a few minutes, and then we'll dive into our topic this morning. So, begin to place awareness in the area of your heart. Take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Breathing a little slower and deeper than normal. And acknowledge yourself for giving yourself this gift to spend 15 minutes this morning connecting with your heart. Take slow, deep breaths. Visualize these breaths flowing in and out of your heart. And just gently allow the breaths to flow into your heart. You will be breathing through your nose and mouth, but visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. Notice if your shoulders are moving up and down. If they are, take gentler breaths because they should not be moving up and down. Just allow it to flow into your heart and out of your heart. Wonderful. Today's I didn't know that moment is that the heart has its own mind. Now, interestingly enough, I had a dream last night that added some more information into what I'm about to share with you today about the heart. Call it divine intervention or something, but apparently somebody here needs to hear this. And so it was very interesting how it combined what my topic was today into something that I needed to share based on the dream. So one of the things that we talk about the heart. Now this is a science part, and I'll tell you what the dream was. The science part is that the heart actually has its own brain. It has neurons, just like your brain. And if you recall one of my past episodes of your Monday morning espresso shot, I talked about how when you do something, when you change your behavior, it takes about 21 or so days for the behavior to set in to be a new normal. And that's because the neural pathways in your brain are being created. There are new pathways that are forming as you change your behavior. So it's like having a record groove that's deep, Those of you who are old enough to remember records, these are little grooves that are deep, and it's something that the record needle always kind of follows. And if you scratch or if you create a new groove and it's not as deep, the record needle will always go to the deepest groove. And that's how your brain works. Well, we applied that to your heart. Your heart also has neurons, and it also has an ability to go to default settings. And if we wish to change those default settings, then we need to engage the heart in a different way. What are some of the things that the heart can do? And this is the part of the dream that I had last night. And the part of the heart, we talk about the divine and the masculine part, the receiving and the giving part. It is both. And so our mind connection in the heart, the brain connection in the heart is, am I going to be open to receiving, or am I going to be closed to receiving? Am I going to be open to giving, or am I going to be closed to giving? Now, for some of us who are ready to give a lot more than receive, and we know who we are, our heart brain actually activates the opening to give very readily, but when we start receiving something, it goes back to its default setting of closing to receive. So that is what's happening in your heart, is that you are actually opening to receive very naturally and closing and not receiving very naturally. And so this is why we say that, are you mostly a giver and not a receiver? Or are you always a receiver and never a giver? It's because your heart's brain is wired that way. The question is, can it change? And of course it can. Just like your brain can change, your heart brain can change. And the way to do it are two steps to do it. First of all is to recognize that there is an opportunity for me to give, or there's an opportunity for me to receive. And if that's the case, then I'm not receiving. That's the basic epiphany or some sort of a recognition that, why am I having a hard time receiving? And when you do that, at that very point, then you do the heart breathing techniques that I'm going to show you right now, which is bang on time. So anytime that this week, if you feel that you are closed to receiving or closed to giving, it is your heart that's closing and receiving to that. What I'd like to do is I'd like you to take this next 3 steps to close that gap. And that is the quick coherence technique, okay? And this, of course, being a very simple technique, yet very, very powerful technique. So I see that, Natalie, you're writing here, what a goodness, I have been working with 2 people the last 24 hours about that topic and have it myself. What a coincidence. Absolutely. That's the dream, my sister. So 1 or 2 or maybe a lot of people needed to hear that. I thought I'd share it with you. I don't believe this stuff is woo-woo. This stuff is just quantum physics. We tune into your quantumness, and here I am serving in this way. So I'm happy and honored to be doing that. So let us begin our quick coherence technique. So anytime, if you recognize a situation, even now or in the past, that you have closed off your heart, not you, but your heart is automatically defaulted to being closed off as part of your natural reaction. Honor that, acknowledge it, and then use the technique we're going to do to actually break through that and allow your heart to receive, and be confident that when you receive it, that you will not, your heart will not go into a tailspin, because what you're going to do is you're going to create a field of coherence which actually transmutes any anxiety or frustration or fear. So let us begin now. Again, place awareness in the area of your heart. Take slow, deep breaths and visualize these flowing in and out of your heart. This is what we just practiced a few minutes earlier. And now begin to experience a positive feeling, perhaps of appreciation and of peace. The feeling of appreciation, peace, compassion, love If love creates the feeling of regenerative emotions rather than a feeling of something that happened that gone awry, but if love, it creates that feeling of appreciation and compassion in your heart, that is a frequency of coherence, which means that your body is beginning to feel coherence, which means your body is able to actually create the energy that will transmute any anxiety within your body, but it will also help transmute anxiety from others. So begin to feel this love and compassion in your heart. And now for the next minute, I'm going to walk you through whatever situation that caused you, your heart, to go into a default closing mode. Whenever your heart feels that hesitation in receiving, or that heart feels hesitation in giving, because you feel you're becoming more vulnerable in giving, or you feel you are not deserving receiving. Whenever you recognize that, honor that, and acknowledge that that is a default position of your heart, and then you can choose at that point in time to actually change it and say, no, it's safe to receive, or it's safe to give. And whatever happens beyond that, it is a divine thing that I'm giving. It is the divine design of my system, my body, my biology, for me to give or for me to receive. And so at this point in time, you view the situation, the fear situation that you're experiencing, as a child that is afraid and is lashing out only because it's afraid. And all that child needs is for you to go and hug the child. So if that is an anxiety that pops up, turn that anxiety into a child that's really afraid, and go give that child a hug. That creates that field of compassion in you. And when you do that, it just transmutes it. The child feels better. In this case, your anxiety dissipates, or somebody else's anxiety dissipates. We've talked about this, where our heart bubble is an energetic field that you can actually measure, and the emotions that actually ride on top of this can also be measured. So feeling frustrated sends chaotic signals in your heart bubble, which is surrounding you 3 feet radius at the very least, if not more. And so others can feel this. So this is something you may want to breathe through using the deep breathing techniques that we're teaching, but at the same time, inject that positive emotion and change that frequency that envelops you so that others may be changed from your service. Wonderful. Thank you so very much. And for those of you who have only 15 minutes to spare today, thank you so much for attending. We are at the end of the 15 minutes. I am happy to take some Q&A for the next 15 minutes. So fire away if you want. I also wanted to, while people are typing in their questions, I don't know if many of you or any of you have heard about the Stargate experience. It's this gentleman in Sedona named Prageet Harris and his partner Jules. They both do numerous events around the world, actually. Europe, Canada, well, not Canada. Well, I've seen him in Canada and the US, and they have a huge following. They've invited me to incorporate heart math, breathing techniques in their guided meditation practice. They do, right now they're doing a webinar program on youthing, from surviving to thriving. And so we're going to have a Facebook Live launch this Thursday. And later on we'll be announcing a webinar that talks about combining the two. I see, Janet, you've got a note here. If it wasn't for your espresso shot, I would be running around and take no time for myself. Thank you. Oh, you are giving yourself a gift, Janet, by spending time here and taking the time to breathe through your heart. You have given yourself a gift to develop yourself, and I honor that, and I truly appreciate you being a part of this circle, and truly appreciate for you doing that and saying the things that you are, because it helps me understand that there is something that I'm doing that helps others. So thank you so much. I'm honored. Wendy, let me just quickly see here. Mount Shasta is where Stargate is. It is actually. I'm thinking of maybe going there and doing the webinar broadcast from there. So I'm working on doing that. But absolutely, that's Mount Shasta is a beautiful place in California. Loretta, I began the webinar over a week ago. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, you did. So you're joining me in that webinar. I'm actually taking that webinar as well. So that's so wonderful. They have about 1,000 people joining that webinar. Philip, you're most welcome, my friends. Nancy, I had this exact experience this week. Awesome giving 5, receiving giving and receiving day Wednesday, but low energy stored off day Thursday. Thanks for explaining it so clearly and giving the solution for the next time. Yes, absolutely. You will always get this this opportunity to break through and develop this mastery. And pretty soon, when these situations arise for you, you will not even know that you are actually, it'll be a default situation. That's the point, is when you do this, you are actually work hard for the first, I'll say 21 days at recognizing, rewiring your neurons in your heart, recognizing, rewiring, and pretty soon it becomes natural. Nothing will faze you. So that's so wonderful. Thank you for your comments there, Nancy. Lane, thank you. Have missed beginning here. Great. You can always, Lane, catch up on the replay and call me if there's anything you want to talk about, or email me for sure. Loretta, thank you. Wendy, I am doing webinar too. Oh, wonderful. We're in this webinar together. Love, Prageet. Natalie, thank you so much, dear Shamir, and you and the Stargate together. Yeah, I'm excited about it. We had a chat and we thought this was such an amazing thing. It was wonderful synergies that brought up. Excellent. Any other questions that you have? Sounds like we've got a mission for this week to try and rewire our hearts to receive and give with coherence, and that's going to take care of a lot of our issues and blockages. It's just a matter of rewiring our heart. And so, that dream came to me, and I'm sharing it with you. Actually, the dream came to me in a state of divine masculine, divine feminine. And because that is tied to giving is the divine masculine, and receiving is the divine feminine. And it is that when we actually learn to rewire our default position in your heart, is really where we balance the masculine and the feminine. If we are able to receive and give from a place of compassion, no matter what, and everything that's unfolding around us, we experience it as a little child that's scared, that needs some nurturing. That would be your giving, without having to worry about whether the child's going to lash out as you're coddling them, because you know that the child is in a sense innocent divine being, and you want to just hug that child. If that's the way you approach everything, without without belittling others, of course we don't want to treat everyone as children, but if we take the situation as this person is very scared, and they're scared, and that's why they're reacting in this way, all they need is a little bit of light in their heart. And if you can help them with compassion, they will calm down, they will transmute, and their heart default position will begin to shift along with yours. Excellent. I don't see any more questions coming through. So if there's nothing more, I would love... Oh, there's a couple. Natalie, the people I worked with have been afraid to receive. Interesting. Because so often there is a hook in it that they owe now something. Yeah, this is something that we have... this is something that I have to guard against myself, is, when we do these free webinars here, people think, oh, should I be participating in this free webinar? Because he's always going to ask me to buy something. And, we've created this kind of a marketing scheme when people are giving away free ebooks, where people are giving away free things in the workplace. And we see this rampant out there. And people are skeptical, say, why are you giving a $5,000 webinar away for free? Is there a hook in there? And we've created this kind of a situation. And so it's all about, and this is for yourself, it's all about trusting yourself to listen to whatever information's out there, receiving it, and trusting yourself not to be drawn into a fear-based response where you go ahead and spend thousands of dollars in subsequent programs, is to just say, this is a wonderful piece of information. You know what, right now this is not right for me, but I'll take whatever you've given me and I honor you for that. Thank you, let's move on. So we've created this kind of a culture where we say we're going to give this away for free, but there's a hook behind it. And we just make sure that we kind of allow ourselves to receive and trust ourselves that we will make the right decision from a place of compassion when the time comes to make that decision. Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was good discussion. All right, I think I'm going to have to go back to sleep now because that dream kept me awake a bit. But thank you so much for joining. I don't see many comments coming through. Anar, you're welcome. My pleasure. So thank you so very much. Appreciate you joining me today, and I look forward to next Monday. And if you can catch the Facebook live announcement with Prageet, myself, and Jules, we'll be doing that later on this week. We'll make that announcement. All right, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful morning, all of you, and take care. Thank you, Loretta. Thank you, Natalie, Nancy, Anar.